All right, so this week we get to talk to the owners of my favorite liquor store, Patuxent Wine Spirits here in Lusby, which I think this is called the Lusby Town Center. Is that correct? Okay, cool. Yeah, the Lusby Town Center. So check this episode out to hear the story of Carolyn and Mike Hart and their wonderful liquor store. Thanks. All right, welcome everybody. Really excited to have Carolyn and Mike Hart with us today. And we're gonna, I know you have two businesses, right? And maybe we'll visit the other business at some point, kind of. Well, wait a minute, we might be sitting in the other business.
I want to know why you're not excited because I'm back.
Oh,
right. Like I mean, like I missed 2 episodes and you're not excited that I'm back already.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of fun without you, man. Well, I'll be honest.
That breaks my heart.
So I think we want to jump in and talk about your liquor store, and I'd like to know what compelled you to get into the liquor store business. Yeah. And first of all, I want to lead off for the audience in saying that you have the best liquor store maybe in this county. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Probably 17, 18 years ago, I was working for a beer distributor, and a friend of mine in the business, he actually had an opportunity to buy a place. I had never conceived the thought. And I'll speed through this because I know time is, but he had an opportunity and he had talked to me about it and he didn't follow through. And it was probably a big mistake in hindsight, but it kind of put it on my radar. And one day I'm driving and we're still in the business and we're still going from account to account and we're just complaining like anybody else does on a job, it's time to go home type thing. And he goes, somebody ought to put a store next to that giant food.
Nice.
And I'm like,
well, there was nothing here.
Well, no. There was no liquor store here, but there was the Giant, the Starbucks, and everything. And he had said, somebody's going to put a liquor store there. You ought to think about it.
Well, you thought about it.
Yeah. So, first we're like, well, we're just going to kick the tires on it a little bit, and then it just kept going. And then finally, the landlord and the property manager were like, okay, you going to do this or not?
You're like,
And we didn't have a bank loan in place. We didn't have any collateral in place. And 40 years old with a 8-year-old and an infant. And yeah, okay. And then we go home and she's like, we don't have any money.
What are we going to do?
How are we going to do it? We want to do it, but how are we going to do it?
So I'm like, well, all right. And then, pounded on banks. And it was a very crawl to walk. I mean, if you know anything about the store, it's double the size now that it used to be. But we were very naive and made a whole lot of mistakes. And she really supported the store for a while because it didn't, I wouldn't see anybody till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. In fact, one time I fell asleep in a chair and a customer woke me up and said, hey, can I buy this?
But the first 2 years, you worked 7 days a week. He was the only, because when you get employees, you have to pay them. And we started with nothing.
I get it.
So everything that we owned went into that store.
That's a story of every successful business.
That's what I was going to say. I think for those out there that have ever thought about opening a business or being an entrepreneur, that's a testament to what it takes, and it's a testament to what you can do, right? But you got to be willing to pay the price to get there, and you can start with zero, and
you can end with zero.
You can end with zero.
You can end with zero, or you can create a very successful business. And I think that probably the gap and the difference between those two outcomes lies in the fact of your willingness to work 7 days a week for 2 years.
It's commitment, right? Yeah. Like it really is. It's commitment to your vision or your expectation. It really is, and that's a challenge. I will say this: you have a huge variety of things in there. I was blown away, honestly. There's
people don't
just
realize
variety though, but like a good variety.
No, that's what I mean. I'm not. I would,
you go to liquor stores that have variety, but it's nothing unique. It's nothing special.
I love looking around. I could look around for an hour and look at. We said that when we were in there. I love looking around. You could see all these different things. And
the good thing of being a salesman for so long is you got, I've served everything south of the Beltway and even some on the other side of the Beltway, but you saw the guys that did it right. And obviously, we didn't have the money to do what they did, and we didn't have the way to set the store up the way we didn't even know how to set it up. I mean, we didn't have no clue, and but you take ideas from the guys that do it right, and you still make a lot of mistakes, but I will tell you, I've done it a long time, and it's just a fact. I've met a couple salesmen in my life that knew more than she does, but only about 2. She researches everything. She reads and she retains it. I see a lot of it, but I don't always remember everything I saw. And a lot of times the guy will walk in and go, talk to me about your bourbon. Talk to me. She'll tell you the tree it went from and everything else like that. And this was this, and they branched off. But she really spends a lot of time researching everything, not just wine or beer. The entire industry.
That's awesome, though.
And that's why you see a lot of that variety. She's always reading, going, I saw. Okay.
There are thousands and thousands of bottles that you as an owner you can choose, to have for your customers to have access to. So you are you have to stay up to date, because the salesmen sometimes don't know when things hit the state. Yeah.
Right. So you have to bring it to their attention, sort of.
Sometimes.
Well, they're supplier driven. That's the industry now. So let's say it's supplier A, and you're the salesman. They really don't care if you have anything else in that book. We want X amount of units of this. Right. If you don't get it, then we don't need you.
Right.
And that's really how the industry has become. And so it used to be, when I was taught in the industry, they used to say, sell the book. And that was meant every item that we have. It's not like that at all. It's sell what they want you to sell, and get a picture of it, so a guy sitting in an office never has to go out on the street and see it, but he can go back and report even higher up, hey, I'm out there. And so you really have to do the work that they don't do anymore to take care of your customers and your business.
I get it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is a fascinating business to me, honestly. Because it's such a, and honestly, every store is different in that regard, and it's probably because everybody operates in different fashions. The fact that you're, we talk about this in all the other ones, like you're passionate about what you're bringing to your customer, right? And that's huge, I think, right?
I think that makes all the difference. And that's where I was going to ask you, from your perspective, what makes you unique?
I think it's product knowledge.
And customer service.
Yeah, we've been carrying stuff out to the car for 14 years. And it's funny because you'll see some people, we're going to start doing that. I don't do it because it's a gimmick. When I was 16 years old bagging groceries at Safeway, that's just what you did.
Right.
Yeah. I always thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. Somebody comes and buys something, how do I get it out to the car?
Right.
Yeah. We carry everything out. When I hire somebody, I'm like, look, I don't hire you to stand behind the counter.
I'm going to give you a huge compliment, because we were over there just a little bit ago, and there had to be, 10, 15 customers come through the door. Every single one of them, and half of them you knew by name. Yeah. The other half you were meeting and greeting them. Right. So that, to me, that says a lot, right? That really does.
It's that dartboard they have at the house.
Is that what it is? Right. Yeah.
But
right.
No, it's this is our home.
Yeah.
This is our community. I grew up right here. So,
our kids go to school here.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And our daughter graduated from Patuxent. Our son's in Patuxent. It's very personal to us. When we do somebody's wedding, I'm not looking to make some gazillion dollars off that. Yeah. I want to make sure, we want to make sure that, that is a good experience, because they don't say Patuxent Wine and Spirits. They say us.
Right.
It's a small town.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And I even
most people don't even know the real name of the store. They call it Mike's Place.
Yeah.
They never knew what the name was.
That's so true, because my wife's like, which liquor store you go to? I'm like, I'm going to Mike's.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. So it's personal to us. It's how we make a living.
That does make it special for you. I think that's and for the community,
what makes
right?
any business special. When you have people at the backbone of the business that are willing to pour their heart and soul into it, the customers feel that.
Yeah, I think you're right, for sure.
Well, you remember the hurricane that we had a few years back when we lost power for days, and I remember at the time we were selling like 7 or 8 pound bags of ice, whatever they were, for like, I don't know, $1 something, whatever it was. Well, it wasn't a lot. And so the power was out. Power came back on. I actually saw it up in this way. I saw the ice guy. So I instantly, I'm like, get over to the store. And we sold like a pallet of ice just on the sidewalk in another pallet store. People just lined up. They saw it because they didn't have power.
Right.
And their meat was going bad and everything else in the freezer because it was hot as can be. So, just didn't think anything of it, and probably about a couple months later, this guy walked in and goes, "Hey, how much is your ice?" And I don't know, $1.60, $80, whatever it was. And I said, "That's what he goes." No, I mean during the hurricane. And I didn't know what he's talking about, and I'm like, $1.60, $1.80. I'm going, where's he going with this? He goes, "Well, there was a place not far from here that was charging like $6 or $7 a bag."
Right.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
This is my home.
Yeah.
You know, I don't do
Right.
that. You know,
Right.
and you know, that's just, we would lose so much sleep over stuff like that.
Yeah.
I used to make this bet. People would come in, they really don't know what you pay for stuff, and they would see like $19.99 on. They're like, "Oh man, you're making a fortune." I'm like, "Nah, I'm grossing $1 before you hand me a credit card. You are not." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. If you tell me what I paid for it, I'll get the invoice and show you, and if you're right, I'll just give it to you." And I showed it to them. They're like, "Oh my God, you only gross $1 on that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's true. They call it a nickel dime business. It's a nickel dime business, but you need volume. And that's where it's so important to try to connect with your customers. You know that they, you know, your credibility with them is everything."
Yeah, that's huge. I think that, you know, it makes me want to come into your store more. You know what I mean? Like I mean, I think the
drive
public,
across the bridge.
Yeah, the public. Yeah, don't hit on the way home, right? But the public, you know, they're going to feel that too. I think in general, like, you know, your commitment to the community is huge. I think that's really awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
So,
well, anything else we need to cover?
I think that's it. Anything you guys want to share with us? Anything new?
I mean, we're getting ready to go into our fall pricing. So,
what does that mean? What does fall pricing
so
mean?
in the summertime, the beer companies they go really heavy on discounts, you know, because they're trying to get it out there. And then in the liquor houses, they do, but you have to buy right and you have to buy on time. So now's the time of season where we're just, you know, you go shopping basically, and you're gonna, when's this going to be at its deepest form? Because, you know, this is, if you're not successful October, November, and December, you're going to have a real long January, February, March.
Makes sense.
Dry January is not conducive in the alcohol business.
So not real good for your business.
There's not enough December sales to absorb dry January. And, you know, and really once January 1 hits, you're waiting for that clock to go back forward to where it's daylight again. It's a tough 3 months.
Yeah,
and
I get
so
that.
it's really important, you know, we get our pricing right, we get everything, because there's 50 million choices.
So the bottom line is get in and get your liquor now.
Yep.
Very soon.
Get in there now. Let's go.
About the next 6 weeks, you know, we should have all the pricing set right. Because, and I tell everybody who works for us, I'm like, you know, this stuff tastes the same at every liquor store out there.
Yeah.
But service is all we got.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
makes sense.
so if my employee's on the parking lot talking to you for 20, 30 minutes, hey, as long as you are taking care of what they need, like I tell them all, we don't have a shelf card over there. I hate that. I'm a terrible shopper. I can't nail a nail straight. I can't do so many things. Can't buy clothes. You know, and I go to a place and there's 900 aisles, and I go, hey, I'm trying to do this. Yeah, that's over there. Well, where is over there?
You need to put an aisle. Just name an aisle. Just call it the over there aisle.
I don't want to hear over there. And you know that old expression, 1 whoops kills 9 attaboys.
Yeah.
So it's important to do the best you can every day, because it only takes one time, and it's a small town, you know, and it's, you know, and you know, so yeah, one bad experience with somebody could mean 10, and you'll never know.
Right.
To you're in Giant one day or Weiss one day or something, you're like, oh God, I haven't seen that person in a while.
Right.
Maybe we made them mad.
Yeah.
And you never know.
So you got to come over and check out the liquor store, get your stuff there. I think it'd be smart. And with that, I guess we'll wrap it up.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you.